I get letters all the time, and I hear from people who have been taken advantage of in financial transactions. And, it really is, it's sad. And a lot of it isn't even, it's not fraud or anything. For one thing, I mean, just the charges involved, the frictional costs, and the baloney that is presented is tough. Charlie and I have had very good luck in terms of buying businesses and putting our trust in people. It's been just overwhelmingly good. But we filter out a lot of people. And then they say, how do you filter them out? I would say, and I think Charlie will agree with this, people give themselves away fairly often, and maybe it does help to have been around as long as we have, in seeing the various ways they give themselves away. When somebody comes to me with a business, and I probably shouldn't tell this publicly because they'll probably tailor their approach subsequently, but when they come, just the very things they talk about, what they regard as important and not important, there are a lot of clues that come as the subsequent behavior. And like I say, we've really had a batting average I wouldn't have thought we would have had in the people that we've joined with, but it hasn't been 100%. It's been well above 90, and I get asked that, I mean, how do you make those judgments? And I don't know, Charlie, can you articulate the way we do it?
Well, partly we're deeply suspicious when the proposition is too good to be true. Warren once introduced me to a gentleman promoter who wanted to inveigle us into an insurance program, and he said, "We only write fire insurance on concrete bridges that are covered by water." He says, "It's like taking candy from babies." We are able to filter out propositions like that.
Yeah, anybody that implicit in their comments or what they kind of laugh about or all kinds of things in terms of the fact, it's so easy, and it ain't that easy, and we get suspicious very quickly. And the truth is we rule out 90% of the times, and we may be wrong about a fair number that we're ruling out. The important thing is whether the ones we're ruling in we're right about. And so we don't mind. We're looking for the obvious cases of people you can trust.
I think you really ought to tell about the experience with the fraud claim.
What?
On the fraud claim, the fidelity claim with the guy, you had the very well-known insurance company that you don't have to name names, but where you basically told them just raise the stakes to make the game fair. This was back in the 1960s. Do you remember that?
I don't remember.
Oh, well, I do. I remember it.
Well, tell it then.
Charlie had this tiny little operation which he ran his fund, also had a seat on the Pacific Coast Stock Exchange. The firm was called Wheeler Munger. It was called Wheeler Munger at first. Later it changed itself to Munger Wheeler. And Jack Wheeler said, well, pretty soon it'll be Munger and Company, but that's okay. Jack Wheeler was a very interesting guy, and he had the specialist position in General Motors and a few things. And some employee stole I don't know, $12,000 or something like that from the firm.
I remember he hid the trading tickets.
Yeah. Some guy steals some money, and Charlie's firm, Wheeler Munger, was required to have a fidelity bond and all these things that covered dishonest employees and all of that sort. So this guy's clearly dishonest. He's clearly stolen the money. So Charlie puts in a claim for $12,000 or something like that, whatever the loss was, and sends it to this very big and prestigious insurance company. And of course, the insurance company denies this claim. They say, the guy really wasn't employed, he doesn't exist, you don't have a dog, I mean, the whole thing. And Charlie gets this letter back, and they're not going to pay the claim. And so Charlie writes a letter to this very well-known, big name, person that runs the insurance company. And he said, look, he said, we have this $12,000 claim. And he said, this guy stole the money. And we thought we had an insurance policy against people stealing, paid us people stole money. And he said, we're in this very interesting position because you've got a bunch of people on the payroll and they're going to get their weekly check or monthly check, whatever they do. So they just say, we're not going to pay, and life goes on. Whereas I'm sitting here and I've got my time. I got to work on this thing, and it isn't worth the $12,000 for me to fool around with this claim against the company, and they'll appeal it and all these things. So he said, I know that you would be offended by the thought that you might be using this inequality of bargaining position to avoid paying at the claim. That never could be your intention. So what I suggest, in order to really live up to your code of behavior, is why don't we make the $12,000 claim, we'll just multiply it by 10 and call it $120,000 either way. And if you lose, you pay me $120,000. If I lose, I'll pay you $120,000. Now it's worth my while. And he addresses the letter to the chairman and says that's the guy. He gets a $12,000 check by return mail.